that went well, other than my camera issues.
Can you post-edit and put your face on there with a little...
Yeah, like a little picture, and I'll make my mouth move like the South Park characters.
Yes, that'd be great.
That sounds like a lot of work. I'm not going to do that.
Fair enough.
So, how many of these online interviews have you done?
So I did one long interview with a local group called Forest Radio. There's a bunch of one of them's I think two of them are writers, and one of them is just doing the interviews to keep themselves busy. They're all retired, and I sat in their garden for a couple of hours. They videoed it, and we just chatted about the book for a couple of hours. So I did that one. I've done one or two online written interviews that have gone out, and I think I did one similar interview like this one. I'm not sure if I've got the link to that still. I need to chase that. But yeah, I haven't done that many of them.
The written interviews, that's the one where they literally send you the questions in an email and you just fill them out and send them back. I've done a couple of those. I find those a little weird.
Yeah. I find them weird when I find myself cutting and pasting from one interview to the next.
Yeah,
they're the
that's
same
no
questions, and anybody who cares to read them all will realize that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's some things about that. There was one, what's his name? Cavendish was doing it for Australian and New Zealand authors, and he got me on what's a Sci-Fi addict or something like that. His questions were interesting, at least a little bit different. So yeah, that was it. That was a fun one to do.
All right. Yeah, that's I heard about the Fan-Fi. What is it? Fan-Fi Edit? Is that what it's called?
I can't remember. I thought it was Addict.
Addict. Yeah, it's something like that. It sounds. I just remember reading about it like maybe 2 days ago. It was. It came across my my feed, so that's definitely making the rounds. Right on. Yeah, the whole interview thing, the marketing side of things. What's really interesting to me about that is that, you figure, we have to do all this because we're indie authors. No, like traditionally published authors have to do it too, and they're kind of on their own with that stuff too. The traditionally published or publishers rather, they tend to not put too much money or effort into the marketing of these books for smaller authors. You have to already have a huge audience. You have to be a Neil Gaiman or something for them to put money into marketing, which sounds counterintuitive because they already have their audience. Like those people are coming. Like, why do you need to promote my stuff? I don't know anybody.
I'm sure there's a sweet spot. I mean, traditional publishing is very, very challenging for new authors to try and break through. I think the thing is, if you do break through, get an agent, get a big publisher, let's say one of the big 5 publishers pick you up, I think there is no doubt that book has to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And it will be fantastic, and it'll do really well because it's fantastic, not because the big publishers are pushing it and promoting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to be fantastic to get through to that. And then, yes, of course, there's luck involved and there's a lot of other things involved in that. Absolutely. But I've got no doubt that the ones that do get through are really, really good books. And there's a whole stack of authors just below that rung of really good books that just aren't fantastic. Doesn't mean you're not going to read them because they're really good. And they're not getting that buy-in from the agents and from the publishers. So going self-publishing for me, there's a bit of a literary conceit in my book about writing in DNA, and that makes reading it a little bit more challenging than not adhering to that conceit. And so I had an editor at one point tell me that you're not going to get this traditionally published because it's just too challenging for them. It's too out there. And so if you want to get something like that out there, then you've got to do self-publishing.
Yeah. If you have something so niche and different from everything else that, yeah. And that's the way, when I first started writing this and I was doing my research and trying to decide traditionally or indie publishing, obviously traditional publishing, there's a bit of a badge of honor that's involved in that. As you say, you have to already be at a certain quality just to get in the door with these publishers. So being published by them does tend to be, bragging rights, if nothing else. And I definitely want those bragging rights, if I'm being honest. I really do. But at the same time, I interviewed a lot of those traditionally published authors, and you have your big rock star authors, but the majority are not those big 1%er rock star authors. And so those majority, when I look at their stories, they're talking about, yes, I got traditionally published, and then I published 20 novels before I ever started seeing any kind of significant royalties or any kind of significant sales. I had to be an author for 20, 30, 40 years before anybody started paying attention to my books. Or I'll hear stories like, the publishers really don't care about the little guys, so they don't put any, effort behind them, blah, blah, blah. You hear all these horror stories. And then the ones that really, really set me over the edge were the ones where, well, my book was supposed to be, XYZ, but the publisher made me change it to ABC. And that, once all of those stories kind of culminated for me, I was like, no, indie publishing all the way. I want to be in control of this work of art that I'm putting together. If it's going to have my name on it, it's going to be me as much as possible. And if I had a vision for the cover. Most traditionally published authors don't get any say in the cover. Like very few even have an influence on it, let alone choose their own. So for me to be able to go to 5 different artists and pitch my idea for a cover and have them all tell me that it's not going to work, and then the 6th one was like, oh, a challenge, I'll do that. Bingo, here we go. Like, that would not have happened under a traditional publisher.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's a lot of advantages. You mentioned the royalties that they get. They don't even start getting royalties till they they sell out their advance.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, the idea of the advance, so attractive, but no, yeah.
And I don't know if I read this right, but am I right in saying 80% of authors in traditional publishing don't sell out their advance?
I've heard some very troubling statistics, very much like that myself. I heard something along the lines that even with traditionally published authors, the statistic is that you sell 250 in the life of the book, which can be anywhere from 2 years to as long as that book is in print. 250, I crossed that line in the first 8 months of doing it independently myself, with absolutely no company behind me to help me market this thing. I did that in 8 months, and statistically 2 years. So there's a lot to be said. I'm not the next Neil Gaiman yet, but I'm doing better than a lot of trad publishers.
I passed 6 months, so the book was published 6 months ago now. And I think I've probably sold in the order of about 100 copies, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. You're right on. You're right on track.
Probably a few more through Kindle Unlimited. There's something like 15,000 page reads. I don't even know how many books that is.
Is yours Kindle Unlimited exclusive, or are you also on regular Amazon and all that?
That's about 48, the equivalent of 48 copies through Kindle Unlimited, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's the EPUB is exclusive with Amazon. That's what you need to do if you're in their Kindle Select thing, and that's what gets you on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay.
So yeah, you get page reads, and you get something like 0.4 cents per page read or something ridiculously small. But it's people out there reading the book and writing reviews. Actually, I think a lot of the reviews I've got on Amazon are probably coming from Kindle Unlimited.
That's good to hear. Yeah, reviews are the bread and butter for authors, and they're so hard to get. I've got, I want to say 12 reviews on my novel right now, and I need to get that up to a minimum of 50. So
Yeah.
for a long time, my newsletter swaps that I do with other authors was geared towards the reader magnet. And then when the book came out, they were heavily geared towards sales of the book. And now, almost a year, next month will be a year that the book has been out. I'm focused on reviews more than anything else. All my newsletter swaps are focused on getting free copies into people's hands so they'll write me a review.
Yep.
That's the whole goal right now. I don't care about sales for the next 3 months. I need reviews. Pure and simple.
I think it definitely helps. I think there was even something I read on Amazon ads that don't even try doing Amazon ads until your review's up to a certain number. I can't remember what the number was. 30.
I want to say 50. Yeah, I want to say 50
maybe.
Yeah, 50 is the at least the goal for me. That's the number I keep hearing from people in the know. That's the thing that'll get you noticed from Amazon. The other thing that apparently gets you noticed from Amazon, and it's an experiment that I've been playing with lately, is the idea of a sales week. And so for Amazon, it would be Monday to Friday. What they are looking for is not astronomical numbers, but rather consistent numbers. So even if you only sell 5 copies on Monday, but you also sell 5 on Tuesday and 5 on Wednesday, 5 on Thursday, and if you can get 6 or 7 on Friday, that is what they're looking. They're looking for an uptrend at the end. They're looking for consistency throughout the week. If you can do that, they will start promoting your stuff in their emails. The also bots and the you might like it, right? And so that's a huge goal for me right now too. Is I'll do stuff where I'll set up a sale. I'll knock down the price of my ebook. And, Monday I announced that to my newsletter, and Tuesday I announced that to a whole bunch of other people's newsletters, and Wednesdays I'm on Facebook, and then Thursday I'm, trying to whatever it is. And just try to get these big sales days throughout the entire week so that there's consistent sale throughout the entire week.
Yeah, I've got a week sale coming up in April. There was something I signed up for. I can't remember what it's called. I'm thinking Shutterstock or something like that. But there's a
Shutterstock.
There's a promotion for books that's coming up. It's in the middle of April, and your ebook needs to be $1.99 or $99 or free. So I've gone with.
Oh, is it Smashwords?
Let me look it up.
It might be I did Smashwords in December. I put my book for free in December, and I sold in quotes 99 of them. So if it's that, then I recommend it.
Just looking through my emails to see if I can find it. I
probably can't find it. I'm looking as well. Yeah, Smashwords is the one that I was looking at. Yeah, how interesting.
I've also got this EasterCon coming up where I'm gonna do a 25% discount over that Easter weekend.
What's your newsletter looking like? Like, what are?
I don't have a newsletter. I don't.
Oh,
have
not
one.
Yet. Correct that.
I've talked myself out of doing it because I just can't see myself. I can't find that email. I can't see myself dedicating time to it. To be honest, the one bit of advice that I've been given that I'm going to take to heart is the best way to sell your book is to write another one.
Yeah, that's very good advice for sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to spend my time writing another one, and then I'm going to write another one. So this book that I've written has 2 more books that I want to write as a series, and I'm going to spend however long it takes to write the first draft of both of those books. Once I've got those 2 drafts written, I'll then begin in earnest at editing the book 2, get it out there, then edit book 3 and get it out there, and try and get them out fairly quickly. And at that point, I can re-release, all 3 of them together and stuff like that. Maybe do hardbacks and, And I think at that point, then doing the newsletter and doing much bigger promotions and spending more money on ads and all of that sort of thing will probably be worthwhile.
Well, I'll say this. Number one, you're absolutely right. Writing the next book is definitely paramount. Especially in my case, writing a series. That second book is going to help sell that first book more. The third book is going to help sell that first book more. People are going to jump into the series and go back to the first one. But I cannot stress enough how important newsletters are, and it's not just because obviously the big determinant for you, it seems like, is the writing of it, and it doesn't have to be a weekly one like I do. It can be monthly. You can do a bi-monthly. There are no rules. You can set up your newsletter however you want to be as convenient for you as possible. That's fine. You want to do once a month, no problem. Nobody's gonna complain about that. But the ability to have your audience in one place, because yes, we are in a day where authors will have some people on Instagram and some on Facebook and some, but they're all going to be on your newsletter if you have a good newsletter, and that's what you want. You want to hold all your audience in the same place so that you can communicate with them when your book is coming out, or when you have a convention coming up, or a show like this one, all that kind of stuff. Like it's very helpful. I recommend it. I tend to go a little above and beyond. I like to have images and have it designed. Also not necessary, but you want it to be appealing to people. You give them reasons to do what you want them to do, like this. You give them a good price so you can advertise your book on a regular basis there. And then newsletter swaps. This person has my book promoted on their newsletter, and I'm promoting theirs on mine, and this person and these, and in that way I am being exposed to other communities and other readerships, and I'm guaranteed to find at least one person somewhere in that mess that is interested in what I'm putting out. So I highly recommend it. I use a thing called Story Origin. It's a website. It is a pay service, but it's fairly affordable. And the whole premise is you get a bunch of authors together. They swap newsletters like this. Grow your audience, sell some books, help each other out, and then readers go there too and get a bunch of free stuff. They get free short stories, they get free review copies, so it's a win-win for everybody. I recommend both of those things.
So when I did entertain the idea of doing it, I considered Substack. I don't know whether you're familiar with Substack, but sure, I think that's...
Substack has a lot of pressure attached to it, though, because the people are paying to follow you specifically, and therefore
you can do it for free, though, can't you? You can send out Substack for free.
I think that there's should always be free elements, but as I understand it, there's also a whole pay part to it, pay for this stuff, get this stuff for free. But ultimately, in a situation like Substack, you're producing something new for these people to read on a fairly regular basis. And for a gentleman as busy as yourself and myself, that's not going to work for me anyway. I'm not getting on Substack. But a newsletter, I can control that. That's entirely under my control. If I miss a week, I can simply send out one simple email. Hey guys, no newsletter this week. Sorry, I'll catch you next week. And nobody's going to be mad about that. That's fine. No. So it feels more as an indie author, it feels like a level of control. This newsletter thing. It gives me a way to put my stuff out there under my own terms, and not necessarily rely on other platforms and other people and whatnot. So, recommend.
I think, when I was considering starting it and doing it, I kind of considered the idea of merging both the science that I do for my work with the science fiction in the books, and merge the two ideas together. So build an audience that's interested in the science, or
interesting
audience.
It's not a bad idea. You're in a unique position because you work in the real world field of the fiction that you write, and therefore you can do that. You can combine those two together. You could each newsletter once a month. You can write a short, couple of paragraphs about how some work that you have done at work that month relates to your story, or to the book, or to the story you've got coming out next, or whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. That people would eat that up. I'd eat that up. That sounds awesome.
Well, if I ever start it, I'll let you know, and you can eat
Please
it up.
do. Yeah, absolutely. Send it right over for sure. All right, man. Well, hey, was there anything else that you wanted to cover between these two shows that maybe we haven't gotten to? A question I didn't think to ask, or anything like that?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, we haven't talked much, I guess, about what's up next. As I mentioned just before, I'm going to be writing this next book, and just to give you a little teaser about it, the next story follows. So what we've done is we've started here. This is Larry Milton, and this is Jessica and Tammy. We're going to be stepping in like this, and we're going to go with Larry Milton's daughter. She's going to be the main character of one of the stories, and the father of Jessica is going to be the lead character of the other one.
Interesting. And then generationally, as we get further in the series, we get closer and closer.
Yeah, so the third book is this.
Brilliant.
Where they overlap. And that's where the story sort of comes to a climax, obviously.
Wow, this is very... this reminds me almost of Memento. Have you ever seen Chris Nolan talk about the story structure of Memento? It's wild, but it sounds like what you're talking about.
I do love the movie, so I might have to check that out. I guess it's on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah. He draws like a half circle, not even a half circle, a half oval, like a clothespin, right? Yeah. And one end of it is the beginning of the story, and one end of it is the end of the story. But the arch, where the curve happens, that's the actual end of the movie. And so one of the storylines is moving forward, and the other storyline is moving backwards, and they both meet at the middle. And that sounds very much like what you're talking about. That's very cool.
Yeah, it is very similar. Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's so much good sci-fi. There's not enough hours in the day to read all this stuff. I really need to get my to be read pile down.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to reading your book. It sounds fascinating. It really sounds right up my alley. So I'm definitely picking up a copy. You sold at least one today. I'm headed straight from here to get the ebook.
Don't forget to leave a review.
Oh, dude, don't I know it, man? You don't know how many people have told me they're going to start a review, and I'm over here looking at my watch like, where's that review, dude?
Yeah. No, the story. You gotta let it go free though.
Yeah,
and don't ever comment. Don't ever comment on the reviews.
Now here's one advantage to the pay website I was talking about earlier, Story Origin, where we do newsletter swaps and stuff. One of the things that you do there, one of the things that I use that for is, for example, my reader magnet. Right, you upload the ebook to them, and they then distribute it for you to everybody who signs up to your newsletter. You can do the same thing with your review copies. And when people sign up for your review copy, it sends you an alert saying this person wants to read your book for free. Do you approve? And you get to look into them. You get to go to their profile, see if they've reviewed other books that they promised to review, that kind of thing. Like, oh, this person promised to review 9 different books and has only reviewed 1. Maybe I don't want to give them, and so on. And then the best thing that they do is 1 month after the reader receives the free copy, they send a little reminder like, hey, where's, you promised this particular author a review, you got a free book out of it, where's that review? And 9 times out of 10, the next day after that 1 month reminder, there's a review on Amazon or on Google. So that's another reason to get into that kind of stuff. Reviews, man. It's our life's blood.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. James, you are a fascinating character. I look forward to talking to you again in the future. I may not be doing interviews on the channel for much longer, but I definitely intend on having yourself and other authors like you back on here for other things. And I look forward to doing that with you, man. I look forward to reading your books. I hope you read mine. I think you would like it, although my sci-fi is more hand wavy. Yeah, I do that hand wavy, like, oh, it's space science kind of stuff. So like, I don't explain the particles like you do, but I think it's good reading. I focus on the characters. All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great treat.
Thanks for having me on.